everybody on all the platforms. I'm glad that you're here because tonight's going to be a fun night. Do some wedding updates, talk about what's going on in the world of weddings and, well, my wedding, not just all weddings, but in the world of planning for my wedding. Going to talk about that a little bit. And actually, what's been going on with me has actually sparked this topic because we've been obviously doing a lot of planning, doing a lot of strategic planning, trying to figure things out, making decisions on about what's going to happen, where, what we're going to do. And so with all the planning that's going on, it really got me thinking about this topic about making love. Right. And so when we talk about it, when oftentimes we hear the topic making love, immediately goes to the physical. Right. Most of the time we think physical because so often it's used that way in movies and in conversations. And so making love has been synonymous with this physical act. But if we really think about it, we know that it's more than that. Making love is not a physical act. That might be an expression of the love that you've made, but actually making love is so much more than the one physical moment. And so tonight, as I've been going through and we're strategizing our wedding, what's been going on this week, let me give you a little update. So this week we booked some dance lessons. So we're going to be taking some dance lessons, working on our first dance together and all that. I had already bought us some like this wedding dance program. So we already have that. So we're doing that. Our wedding dance program. And then now we've booked some live lessons. So we're going to go to this place and get some dance instruction and all that good stuff. So that'll be fun. Just, building up that interaction with one another, having experiences with one another. And that was one of the things that we were talking about last week when we were talking about just the process of being strategic and doing things on purpose. And the more I really sit and think about what's going on with this wedding process, it's all strategy, right? We're making a moment, right? It's not the whole moment. It's not our whole marriage. It's not our whole relationship, but we're making a moment and we're doing it on purpose, right? We're going to go take these dance lessons on purpose. Some of the things we've been looking at, just decorations and invitations and every little detail, how, the hotels that we're booking, every little detail, we're looking at it because we want to create a moment that's special for everyone that's involved. And so one of the things that happened this week, as we were talking, we were just hanging out, my bride to be and I, we were talking, and I want to know like your thoughts on this. But we were talking, and I said to her, I said, when we're married and we're living together, I said, one of the things that I want to do is have a space in the closet for my phone, like to charge. And we were talking about, our space together and just how we want to go about having our relationship be. And I know for me, I'm like, I don't want the phone dinging all night. I don't want it lit up. I don't want the notifications. And it's very much because I want to protect the relationship. And so I want to protect what's sacred to us. And so I feel like if I was to have my phone in the room, then it also brings so much more of the world into the room, right? There's no disconnect from everyone that's connected to the phone. Yeah, it'll be in the closet, like isolated. And yeah, I could hear it if something went off. But some of the things I do to actually help to make this love that we have is like I turn off my notifications at a certain time. Like I get off the phone at a certain time, no more notifications. And so being really strategic about that, because protecting your love is important. And so often, like now we get so accustomed, especially with technology, we get accustomed to having it with us all the time. We have to check it every few minutes. We're so afraid, like that fear of missing out, FOMO. And so we end up hurting our relationships because we never fully disconnect from everything else. And so in my thinking, in my processing, there has to be boundaries, right? I have to like lead the way with, hey, this is a boundary that I'm setting. And yeah, she has some things like some information that comes to her phone medically. She gets that information on her phone. So her having her phone's a little different. But for me, I'm like, no, that's a boundary for me, that there needs to be a cutoff from the rest of the world. And so that's not even a practice that has to wait. That's not something that has to wait until you're in a relationship or building a relationship. You can practice that with yourself. That you having your own boundaries for yourself is so important, right? The world doesn't need to always have access to you. You don't always need to have your mind on, what's going on in the cyber world. And so I was curious, does anybody have a regular routine that they use with their technology? Do you have a cutoff time? Do you have anything, like any ritual that you do so that you're building a healthy relationship, not only for someone else, but you're building a healthy relationship with yourself? Just kind of curious about that. Put it in the chat if you do that. But being strategic about making love. So this idea of love, like, what is it? Have you ever really sat down and thought about like what your definition of love is? We can look at, we know what a car is, we know what a house is, we know all kinds of different things, what they are, and we know that there are different components that go into building it. But when it comes to our relationships, so often we go off the emotional, right? We go off the emotional. We're thinking, oh, things are going to be all right, because we have this emotional energy when we connect with someone. It's exciting, it's new, right? That all comes with our new experiences, like this excitement. But excitement does not last, right? Excitement is not going to last. So after the excitement wears off, what's the plan? Right? Sometimes, like, you might join the gym, you start training, you start exercising. I'm going to change my body. And there can be an excitement, there can be fear, there are emotions that go with any new experience. But if you're going to do it for a long term, those initial emotions are going to wear off. So how do you build it? One of the things that I love when I was studying the Bible, looking in the Bible says that through knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is a house built. So knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is how you build the house. That's how you build the relationship. Knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Notice it doesn't say like your emotions. Your emotions are not what you want to build on, because they're going to change. You can be happy one moment, you can be sad the next moment, you can be mad one moment, you can be afraid one moment. Like, your emotions are going to change. And so strategy comes into play. If you're going to have a healthy relationship, like I want to have a healthy relationship, what's the strategy? What's our plan? And let me just share this. One of the best ways to plan, one of the best times to plan for the disaster, for the chaos, for the frustrations, for the arguments, one of the best times to plan for that is when things are calm and when things are all good. I know right now is the best time for us to strategize what's going to happen when we're a little frustrated with each other, or agitated, or angry. Like, this is where you set the rules. Not, think about it. When a storm is coming, when's the best time to plan for a storm? Certainly not when the storm is hitting. If the storm is already hit and it's already blowing, imagine you're trying to board up windows and trying to go to the big box stores and get supplies. No. You don't want to do that. So same thing in a relationship. If you are going to make a love that is sturdy and sound and able to withstand storms, the best time to strategize is when things are all good. That's the best time to do it. And so strategizing, how do we argue? What are our rules for engagement? If we're going to argue, what things are we going to do to ensure that we're not saying hurtful things? What are our boundaries in how we communicate? We talked about this a little bit last week. Someone had asked, they said, we were talking about the topic of asking for consent, right? And we were talking about touch. And I was explaining how, as a massage therapist, I can be, working with the client, but before I do, I'll ask them, even though they're there for a treatment, they're there to get a massage, they could be there for that moment. I'll still ask them, is it okay for me to touch you now? right? Because they'll be on the table, they're laying down, they have the blanket over them, the sheets over them, they're there, it might be face down in the face cradle. And so they could be having their own personal moment, just kind of reflecting or gathering their thoughts. And I'll ask, is it okay for me to touch you? And I'll wait for this person who is there to get a massage to grant me permission. They'll say, yes, now it's fine. Or no, could you just give me a moment? Same thing. Someone asked, they said, well, can I ask my partner, is it okay for me to yell at you? And we talked about that a little bit last week when we were talking about just strategy and how we go about building relationships of trust and bond. And I said, yeah, you could ask that because what happens is if you in a moment are so cognizant of your emotions running high and you know that you want to yell at someone, you could ask them, is it okay if I yell at you right now? And that person, what you're doing, first of all, you're acknowledging that that person has feelings. You're acknowledging that your temperature is high, right? So now you're gathering yourself. You even in asking the question, you're taking a moment to gather yourself. And so you're gathering yourself. Can I yell at you? And it doesn't seem like something normal that we normally do, but you could. And that person might say, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, yell at me. It's fine. And you get to yell at them. And you take that opportunity, you yell at them. But they might say, you know what? Today was just such a bad day. It was such a rough day. I can't even take it if you yelled at me today. Or they might say, well, is it okay if I yell back at you? Because you care about this person, you want to build it. You want to build for as many moments as you can think about. You don't simply build a house and say, well, I'm going to build the living room and that's it. No, you're going to build the bedroom, you're going to build the bathroom, you're going to build the garage, you're going to build every part of this, every part of that dwelling place. You're going to build it, you're going to think about it, you're going to strategize it. And the same thing in relationships. We get to build the love that we want to have. Like it's not going to just happen, we get to make it. And so this idea that society sells making love as just these few moments of physical interaction, it undermines the power of love, first of all. And then it puts us in a mindset where we're not thinking strategically enough. We're not thinking big enough. And so if you're thinking about making love, you're thinking about everything. You're thinking about your conversations. You're thinking about your interactions. You're thinking about experiences. You're thinking about your health. Thinking about your spiritual development, spiritual interactions, finances. Like you start thinking about all of that because you're saying, wait a second, all of this is the house that we live in. This is our love. This is what we're building it. And so like today, I started today. I'm just being honest. I need to be vulnerable. I need to be open. So I'm working on my body, right? So I said, all right, I'm giving myself 100 days. In 100 days, I want to drop 25 pounds in 100 days. So I'm strategizing it. And so I'm looking at it, I'm strategizing it. Why? Because how I show up physically is a part of our love life. It impacts our love life. It impacts our love. It impacts my ability to have experiences and to do things. So I'm like, no, there are things that I want. I want to drop body fat. I want to increase muscle. There are things that I want for me because I want to be a good gift. Communication. I want to be a good gift. I have to work on that because, and she hates when I do this. She'll say, she'll ask me how I am. And I have to say, like, if I say fine, she's like, that's such a terrible answer. And when I say fine, she knows there's probably something going on. And so even sometimes when I am fine, I'm now learning that fine doesn't rest well. So working on my communication to over communicate. No, I'm okay. I really am good. I'm in a solid mental place. I'm thinking about things. I'm strategizing. I'm in a place of peace and rest. Mentally, I'm clear. So, because if I just say fine, that just leaves too much to be trying to figure out. Like, you can say you're fine when you're upset. You say you're fine when you're handling something on your own. Like, so fine isn't always a good answer. So learning how to communicate in a way that meets her need. Learning how to communicate in a way that brings her peace. I'm making love. I'm making the house. And so we get to strategize that. We get to strategize spiritually speaking. So when I pray, I'm like, okay, can I pray for you? Is anything going on in your day? Is anything on your heart that you want me to pray about? How are you feeling about life, about what's going on? Is there anything that I can help carry the load? I can pray with you. I can pray for you. Maybe you don't even have the words to say, but I can pray for you. See, it's all about building the house. This is strategic stuff. And if you get caught up thinking that the emotion is the driver, you're going to miss it, because emotion isn't the driver. Emotions that's the output. See, when we strategize and we're making it, and when we're designing it, and you don't have to be engaged, you don't have to be married, as an individual person, this is the ideal time for you to start designing the love that you desire to have. Like, this is where you get to set the standard and you say, no, I want this. This is what I want. And so then what happens is when people start telling you you're too high maintenance, you ask for too much, you already know those people are disqualified. They're already moving themselves out, because you're making the love already. You're like, no, I know the love that I want. I know the love I desire. And if you don't know, that means there's some dreaming, some thinking, some healing that needs to take place. There's some learning that needs to take place, because your life is too important for you just to hand it over to someone and go by the seat of your pants. No. You get to strategize. We talked about this last week. You're an entrepreneur of intimacy, meaning this is your business. Your relationship, I know people don't like it. They don't like to talk about it this way, but your relationship, if you decide that you want to be in a relationship, that's your business. Here's why it's your business. Because all businesses, any business that exists, is a made-up entity. Someone made it up. And so when two people join their lives together, so there's me, there's her. We're both individuals, sole proprietors. We're our own entity. And then we join our lives together. We start interacting. We start enjoying each other's company. And then we create something that did not exist prior to us interacting. And it's a relationship. We're now creating this way that we interact with one another. All of us do it. We take something that doesn't exist when we join with another person and we create it. We make a relationship. And so when we make this relationship, we get to build it however we want. But here's the thing. There are no rules that say you can't show up with your own ideas, with your own desires, so that you have a standard going in. See, my standards going in, I had standards going in. I'm like, listen, now this spiritual part, this Bible part, this intimacy with the Almighty part, that's a non-negotiable for me. If you don't do that part, look, we're done. It's a non-negotiable. There are some things I'm like, no, praying together, fasting together, serving. Like, no, that's non-negotiable. This is a part of the kingdom. This is a part of our kingdom union. Like, this is non-negotiable. And so when you have that and you say, no, this is our standard, then that's the standard. And I could say, oh, I'm going to lower the standard because she's so cute. And I'm no. Don't do that. Have your standards and say, this is my standard. And then that helps you. That helps you avoid having the wrong people in your life. Like, what are your physical standards for yourself? Like, don't even worry about the other person yet. What are your physical standards for yourself? So you have a spiritual standard. What are your physical standards? What is the standard that you have for yourself? What is it that you want to say that I invest in myself physically, where I'm exercising, or I'm being faithful to being healthy and getting checkups or whatever it is. I eat a particular kind of way, but you should have a physical standard because you're building a house. And you're like, okay, if I don't have a physical standard, how can you build? No, we want that. That is appealing. So one of our physical standards is that when we're in our union, we can be together and not be ashamed of our physical beings. I know someone who, when she got married, she was in my coaching program, and she was really struggling. She was struggling with what was going on in her marriage. She was newly married, and she talked about how her physical body was such an issue for her that her husband never got to see her without clothes on. I mean, you're just married, you're newlyweds, and your husband never gets to see you? Like, nope. I was like, well, how? The lights are always off. Like, he never gets to just catch a glimpse of you walking through the room, and just there she is in all of her glory. Just nope. She's like, I always have on something. He never gets to see me. She's I do not like my body at all. I don't like the way it looks. And so now she's hiding herself. And I told her, I shared with her, I said, do you know how that must feel to him, that here he is, he sees you, married to you. You're the one. You're the one out of every woman in the entire world. You're the one that he's chosen, and he doesn't get a chance to see you. Like, just, we're talking about making love. We're having a grown-up conversation. Think about it. Think about the threats to your relationship. If you have physical holdups, if you have physical issues, if you have to hide yourself from the one that you've committed to, and you're doing life with them, if you're hiding yourself from them, you're putting that person in jeopardy. You know why? Putting the house in jeopardy. You know why? Because of the internet, for one. That the fact that you can go on your phone and just be minding your business. You can be on your phone for a specific purpose, working on something, and images will pop up. An image of that really cute guy, an image of that really sexy woman, and like images start to pop up. Like, that stuff happens. And so if we're talking about making the house, we're talking about making love, this establishment, we're talking about building a structure of love. Well, we get to protect. Love always protects. And so if we're being strategic, one of the ways to protect is to say, look, this person wants to have eyes for me. This person married me. I want to protect them. And so that's a way to protect your physical standards. When you say, okay, I want to take care of my body. I want to take care of my health. I want to take care of how I see myself physically. That all helps build the house. What about your dreams? Have you ever thought that your dreams impact your relationship? Like your aspirations, your goals, your ideas, that stuff impacts those thoughts that you have about you living your life and achieving and accomplishing. That impacts your relationship too. For one, it makes you exciting. It makes you interesting. When you have dreams and ideas, when you have pursuits, it makes you interesting. It gives you something to talk about. It gives you experiences. But most importantly, it gives you fulfillment. It gives you fulfillment, that you can be in a relationship with someone and have fulfillment because there's a gift in you. There's talent in you. There are abilities in you. And when you're going after that thing that's in you, that dream, that aspiration, that idea. When you're going after that, you actually enhance your relationship. That goes and helps to build love. That's a part of the making love. And you might not think, you might not have ever thought of it that way, but like even when you look in the Bible, so there was Adam was there. God forms Adam of the dust of the ground and blows into his nostrils, and he becomes a living soul. So he's got the breath of life in him now. So his physical being was important. God gave him a task. He said, I'm going to put you here in this garden to dress and to keep it, meaning to cultivate it, to tend to it, to protect it. So I'm giving you that. So you have a job, you have something that you were working on. And as this man that's in this garden, you have a goal. Like every gardener has a goal. Every gardener has a dream. No one gardens and they're not thinking about having a harvest. So a husband, by definition, is someone that does work with the anticipation of being fruitful. This is great. Like when you think about it, like, wait a second, that's true. That's what a husband does. A husband works on something so that life can be produced. But the work of husbandry is not only assigned to a man. And I know we only use the word really in reference to men, but husbandry. You can animal husbandry, agricultural husbandry. Husbandry is the work of cultivating. So a woman can very much do the work of husbandry. And I go so far as to say, if you're married in a relationship, and I know this is going to sound weird, but if you think about it, if you're in a relationship with someone, you should both do the work of husbandry to one another if you're looking to cultivate and bring out life. That's not weird. That should be the standard. If you're in someone's life, you should be able to think, I will learn what soil they need. I will learn what kind of seed they are. I will learn them and create an atmosphere that helps bring them to life. And then that person can think the same about you. I'm going to learn them. I'm going to learn I'm going to learn about them. I want to know the intricate details of you. I want to know about you so that I can bring you to life. I want the best. I go so far as that I tell my bride to be, I said, I didn't pick you. I didn't. I didn't pick you. I chose you. And there's a major difference. I said, when someone picks a flower, that flower immediately begins to die because it was taken from the environment in which it flourishes. So when you cut a flower and you pick it, it begins to die. But your environment becomes more beautiful, right? You go out to the garden, you cut the flower, that flower's starting to die, and you bring it inside, you put it in a vase, and then that flower is now enriching your environment, but that flower is dying. And I said, I didn't pick you. I need you to get this straight. I didn't pick you. I chose you. And in choosing you, you are the garden that I now cultivate. I now have the opportunity to cultivate. I have the opportunity to work. That's the relationship. I get to show up and work, and it's good. Right? We think about we've been taught relationships so wrong that we miss out on the beauty and the benefits of the work. Like the work is a beautiful thing because when you're doing the work in a relationship the way that it's designed to be done, what happens is life is produced. And this is on every level. It can be at your job, it can be in your business, it can be as a parent, it can be with animals. Like when you say, I'm going to show up and cultivate life, then whatever the existence was prior to you showing up, it should go to another level because you showed up. You have the power to do that, but it's not going to be on accident. Knowledge, wisdom, understanding. What do you know? What do you know about, like, if you might be, I call, as single people, people say single. I'm like, all right, that's one way of putting it. But think about it differently. You're an exclusive, right? You're exclusive. You're one of one right now. You're exclusive. You're about God's plan. You're exclusive, right? So you're exclusive or you're married. So right now you could be an exclusive, right? It's about you right now. But you get to have this plan. You get to strategize your plan. You get to start thinking about the person. See, we do this thing, like, again, working with a lot of women. How do I meet Mr. Right? How do I know, the right guy? That's very passive, very passive. Let me help you out here. Don't wait. Mm-mm. One of the things I think about often is how back in the day, I don't even know what time period it was, but back in the day, there was the image of the woman that dropped the handkerchief. Right? You can see, if you've ever, I like those old kind of movies and stuff like that, where the woman's there and she drops the handkerchief. And when she drops the handkerchief, what she's doing is she's creating an invitation and an opportunity for this man to either respond and pick it up and return it to her, or she'll know this guy is not alert. He's not the one. He didn't even respond. He didn't pick it up. He didn't bring it back, right? All that. So this idea that you get to drop the handkerchief as a woman, like, you get to drop the handkerchief. You get to actually be the one. I think about even Eve in the Bible, that the man was there. He's doing his thing. He's working. He has a purpose. He has a job. He has responsibilities. He has animals. He has a lot going on. Like, he was living in the social media age of his day. He had a lot. He had a lot going on. And then God brings her to him. God brought her into his world. And then he recognizes her. She disturbed his world. Now, we think disturbed and we think that's a negative, but it's not negative. She showed up and she was a disruptive presence, because what? He said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She should be called woman, because she was taken from man. Like, he already had things going on. Her presence, when she showed up, it does not say in the Bible that she showed up and started talking anything. She shows up, her presence, it got his attention. But I believe, just like he knew her, God was showing her, this is where you've come from. And so, like, I think when you're thinking about this Mr. Right and the guy that comes into your life and all that, think about the man that you want to show up for. Think about a man that is worthy. Like, is worthy. Think about this man. Is he worthy enough for me to show up for him? Think about the man that would be worthy enough for you to show up in his presence. See, you don't need to show up in every guy's presence. You're not common. You don't need to be just being analyzed and handled by every man. No. Your value is so high that there needs to be someone that you deem worthy. And I'm not saying this so that you're arrogant. I'm saying it because there is a natural interaction that happens. And so how do you get there? How do you get to this? Again, it goes back to being strategic. Instead of this idea that we have now, where we go on our phones and, like, we download apps and we're just scrolling through, swiping left, swiping right. And we're going on all these mindless dates and getting our feelings hurt, and somebody's mistreating us. You're wasting your time. You don't need to do that. Let me help you. Develop an image. Develop the list. Develop your standards. You might identify someone. You might say, oh, that guy right there. Oh, yeah, that's the one. And then guess what you do? You can focus. You get to focus. I've shared the story with you that my bride to be, she said, you're my person. And I said, no, I'm not. And she said, yes, you're my person. And then for years and years and years, she studied me. She studied me. She learned me. She said, no, you're my person. I used to ask her, like, are you going to go out with anybody else? No, I don't need to. She said, you're my person. I know you're the one. And then she learned me. Even when I was being resistant and I was like, oh, I'm going out with this girl, or I'm going to go out and date. She was like, go ahead. She said, they won't last. Like, we're friends. We're good. Me and her, we were friends. She said, no, you're my person. And she began treating me as such. She began looking at my life and learning how I operate and how I think. And she started learning. And because she was learning me, then she put herself into a place where she was one of one. And along the way, what was happening was I was learning her. I was like, oh, yeah, we're friends. Then friends grew into, she's my best friend. Then it grew into, I'm going to ask her to marry me. But she was my friend. And then as my friend, I wanted to know about her. I was learning about her. And so like this is, you get to, this was the making of love. This is how it happened. It's intentional. You don't make love accidentally. You don't make love in the heat of the moment. That's so weak. That is, you're missing it. If that's what you think, no, you're missing it. There's so much more to making love. To again, just go back to the idea and the thought that you are going to build a house. The house is going to be built with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. What do you know? Okay, you gather some information. You know it. Okay, what do you understand? See, understanding, we could think about it a couple ways. Understanding could be just what the word says, standing under. Now, what I've gained in knowledge, I now am going to operate underneath that and exercise through wisdom. Wisdom is the application of knowledge that you understand. So this is good. You're strategizing. You're like, oh, this is very, very much on purpose. And when you do that, now you get to produce the emotion that you want. What does it take for that person to smile? What does it take for you to smile? What does it take for you to be excited? What does it take? What happens when you're scared? What things are you dreaming about and looking forward to? What health issues do you have that impact you day to day? Right? Like you can start really thinking about these things because now you can hand someone a book on you. Someone that you deem to be worthy. You can say, listen, here's the book on me. I know me so well, I can help you have a great relationship with me. Right. And so you start to strategize. You're thinking about it. This isn't accidental. You are building a house. You are building a relationship to withstand storms, to be there in good times and bad. How long do you want it to last? How many more heartbreaks really do you want to go through? You don't want to go through any more heartbreaks. This is why your life needs to be so protected, because you're tired of heartbreaks. And if you've never been through one, why do it? Give yourself the best chance that you don't have to go through it. But if you've been through one, I've been through them, you don't want to keep repeating that. So there has to be a standard where you say, no, here's the blueprint. For me, for us, we go to the Bible. What's the Bible say? And people will say, well, no, in the Bible, men mistreated women and men were this and that. That did happen. That still happens. But God had a plan still. God had a design that people messed up, and then they began to do their own buck wild thing. but God had a design. God's original design for relationships. This is why I love, if you're in a relationship, just hang out in Genesis chapter 1 through 3. Read it over. If you ever want to be in a relationship, look at it through the lens of what did God do in designing the environment for relationships, the interactions of relationships, what assignments did God give? Like, look at it that way, because after that, after Genesis chapter 3, it gets messed up, right? It gets messed up. So we don't need, we can learn from people that mess up. Like we can learn from other people's lessons, but I always think that it's great to say, all right, what was God's original plan? Because now we're going to filter everything through that lens. And so when I look and God blows his breath into man and he becomes a living soul, and then God gives him this responsibility, well, I'm like, okay, that, for one, what I noticed was, wait a second, when God made the man, he gave the man all of the responsibility. God created the whole world, the whole universe. God created all of it. And then he gave one man the responsibility. So when I looked at that, this is me, other people might not agree. When you think this is the dwelling place that God made, and he gave this man the responsibility to take care of it, all of it. That whole question about like whose job it is in the house, that's not a real thing. First, it's the man's responsibility, according to the pattern that's in the Bible, according to what happened there in Genesis. And then God said, I'm going to make for him an helpmeet. It's not good for him to be alone, to have to handle all this by himself. I'm going to make him a helpmeet. And this helpmeet is just not some lowly servant that's just there to help out. No. I'm going to make this helpmeet as the feminine expression of me. So she's power packed. She is everything that you are, just a different expression. She's coming in a different shape. So now you have help to meet the assignment, which is all good. So when you're strategizing, we had this conversation yesterday. I was like, you wash clothes. I was like, well, I know you're not big on like squatting down and stuff like that and trying to clean the tub. I'm like, I got the bathroom, like, so we were just talking about that. And yesterday we were doing some work and I was vacuuming, right? And I'm vacuuming, and she was walking through my freshly vacuumed lines. And so I'm vacuuming and she walks through my lines, and I'm looking, and she starts smiling. And I said, so you're just going to walk through my lines, right? So, and she said, I knew it was coming. I knew you were going to say something about like me walking through your freshly vacuumed lines. The point is, like, that's not beneath me. It's not beneath me to vacuum or clean the bathroom or cook or any of that. Like, again, if you're building love, design it. Don't be accidental about it. Like, don't be accidental. I've come to the conclusion, like lately, more and more, and I hope this really helps you and encourages you, that the ideas, your best dreams and your best ideas and the things that bring your heart to life and make you happy and excited, I've been questioning more and more as I've seen just different things happen in life, that I'm like, maybe we really missed the real understanding that we don't actually make up our own dreams. We don't make up our own ideas. I believe God gives them to us. When we delight ourselves, the Bible talks about delight yourself in the Lord, and he'll give you the desires of your heart. And I don't look at that as God will give you whatever you want. I see it as when you delight in the Lord will actually give you the things to desire. The Lord will give you the dreams to dream. And so what happens is we oftentimes will see a vision or a dream or have an idea, and it will be so far out of what our capabilities are that we become afraid. And we think because we have whatever experiences in life and our shame and our disappointments and our failures, we think that those ideas, those dreams couldn't possibly be for us. But I want to encourage you. If you, not if, because everyone has them, you have a dream, you have a vision, you have something in your heart that you desire, you have a way that you want a relationship to be, you know a way that you desire to be treated and how you desire to be honored, and you know how you want to be respected. Hold that. Don't allow yourself to diminish that, to think it'll never happen for me. I'll never find the person that'll treat me that way. Don't do that. Because when we do that, we're actually minimizing the power of God to work in our lives. Like whatever your best dreams are, whatever your best ideas are, whatever the highest honor and regard you want to be held in, keep that. Grow that. Feed that. Study that so that you can understand that you do have value, that you do have worth, that you have something worth building. This dream, this idea, this relationship, it's worth building. It's, you get to make it. God is giving you something to make. God is giving you an idea to make, but don't back off of it. And I'm sharing that because there was a time that I was telling God, no, I won't ever trust anyone again. I've been hurt before. I'm not opening myself up to anyone else. And see, I was closing up. I understand protecting your heart, but I was closing that bad boy up. I was building big old walls. And so when you're building those walls, even though on the inside of you, there's something that you want, you know who you're lying to? Yourself. You're lying to yourself because there's something in you that is it wants to get out. It wants to be seen. It wants to be birthed. It wants to be developed. It wants to be built. Like it can be a relationship with another person. It can be the relationship with your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations, your idea. It could be the thing you want to create. It wants to live. It could be the healthiest version of yourself that you see and that you aspire to. And you're like, I'm so tired of carrying around, like me. I'm like, I'm tired of carrying around this extra weight that I know that I don't need to be having. I know I need to get into the gym. I know I need to muscle up, right? Like I know there's a stronger version of me. Okay. So I could back off of it and not show up, but I'll be less healthy than what I could be. And why would I do that? Why would you do that? Why would you choose to be less healthy than you can be? I get it. Things happen in life. There are moments that will rock your world. You'll be sad. There'll be heaviness. Like I understand that. I've been through that when there's just that heaviness and you're just happy to make it through the day. You wake up in the morning thinking about when you're going to be able to get back in the bed because you're just your heart is sad. The weight of the world just feel like it's resting on you. Maybe perhaps because you failed before. But this is why we need one another, because when that is on you, when you're carrying that by yourself, it is hard to get that weight off of you. You know why? Because you're with yourself. You're having that same hurt person conversation with yourself. You're repeating the pain with yourself. And it's hard to heal that way. We're not meant to be alone. We're meant to be in community with one another and interact with one another. There should be some people in your life that know your dreams. that know your goals, that know what makes you happy, that know like your creative genius. There should be some people in your life that know what's going on with you, that somebody in your life should be so tapped in that if you're missing for a little bit, they're checking on you. When I had my brick and mortar women's gym, I had a policy because the ladies trained with me 4 days a week. And so, perhaps they didn't show up one day. It happens. They don't show up 2 days. But by that third day, if I don't see them, they're getting a call. I need to know what's going on. You're now being missed. Like 1 or 2 days, okay. But 3 days, I need to know what's going on. Like somebody needs to know. Somebody needs to be able to look out for you, to know when you're missing. Somebody needs to know if you're not okay. And when you do that, when you're strategic about that, when you're strategic about letting someone in, you are making love. You're making the house of love. And it's good for you. It is good for you. It's not easy, but it doesn't have to be easy. It's good for you. It is unhealthy for us to stay in our own world, our own solo worlds. So here's a little challenge for you. I challenge you to begin the process of making your house of love. And pick out, like, okay, so we're looking at relationships. Here are our relationships. Pick out one of these 3 areas. Pick out the spiritual component, the physical component, or like your aspirational component. And I'm going to encourage you, little challenge, to get connected with someone in one of those worlds. Like maybe it's, all right, I'm going to start exercising. I'm going to be a part of a gym or what have you, or a running club or a biking club or a walking club or a dog walking group, whatever. Get around someone, interact with someone. Or maybe it's the spiritual component. You're like, I'm going to go to church, or I'm going to be a part of a women's group or this group or that group. I'm going to get connected. The same with, maybe it's your ideas, your business idea or an educational idea. You might be saying, oh, I'm going back to school. Great. You're going back to school, make a friend. Right? Do not live life alone. You get this speed walking, right? So that's a special group. Get connected. Someone needs to know your name. Get so connected that someone misses you when you're not there. It's good. It's healthy. And what it will do is it will give you an environment in which to practice communication, learning someone, being attentive, allowing someone to know you. Like, practice building healthy relationships. Practice having a standard. Someone talks to you in a certain kind of way and you don't like it. Practice saying, no, that's unacceptable for me. Someone does something that you really enjoy. Practice showing your gratitude. One of the things that my bride-to-be and I, what we do on any given night, just thank you for today. Just I'll send a message or we'll call. Thank you. Thank you for today. Thank you for allowing me to be in your life, to experience a day with you that we never had before. Thank you. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. Just thank you. Just practicing saying thank you. Thank you just for moments. Thank you for the time that you gave me that you'll never get back again. You can always, anyone that you share any time with, you can always thank them for the moment because they gave you something that they will never get back again. So you can simply thank them for time. Thank you for the time that you shared with me today. And so, like, all of this helps in the making of love. You're practicing making it, you're strategizing. And it's such a healthy practice that will help us, all of us, to grow. Like that you get to say, I'm making love. And then you think about it, I'm making love that's going to withstand storms, withstand arguments. I'm making love that is sure. I'm making a love that I can trust. Right? Think about it. If you're going to build this house, do you want to build a house that you're always worried that it's about to collapse? That's what happens when we don't strategize. We're like, oh, this is so emotional. We just went to the store, we got some lumber and some nails, and we just started nailing things together. Right. And yeah, we just nailed it all together. We're so excited to be together. Okay. How many leaks do you think that house is going to have if we just went to the store and got some hammers and nails, some few screws? Do you really want to put your life in that situation? No, of course not. Because there wasn't a lot of thought into this. It was just an emotional moment. We were so excited that we just started doing things. Which, hey, there's a time for spontaneity, but guess what? In your house, you can actually build that too. You can say, in this house, we do spontaneous. But that's not the structure of the relationship. That's one of the decorations. Like, oh yeah, we do spontaneous. But your whole existence can't just work off of spontaneous because there's no consistency to it. So if there's nothing consistent, how are you going to trust it? How are you going to rely on it'll just be spontaneous? There's some safety. There's a lot of safety in structure. We have a standing policy in our relationship that if on any given day there has not been some form of interaction by 10 o'clock, there's something wrong. We just know that is our set alarm time, that if there's been no interaction by 10, there's something seriously wrong. And if there was something that was going to happen, like, I don't know, I went to bed at 4 a.m., so I'm going to sleep past 10. Well, there needs to be some kind of communication, a text message waiting or something, so that there's not that alarm. See, making love means you get to consider all of that. You get to consider your interactions. You get to consider just anything and everything and strategize for how you want to build it. And it's fun. GPS locations on. Yes, that is another one. GPS locations, plans for life. Absolutely. I just got a notification popped up on my phone a second ago. I know how fast she was driving. I know because Life 360, we use that, Life 360. And it says, okay, this is how fast she was driving. This is where she's at. Right? Like, this is how long it took. But we're building that. We're building a relationship of trust. So she can pick up my phone. She knows all my passwords. Like, no hiding. Mm-mm. I need you safe. I need you feeling good. So guess what? Log in. Like, get whatever you want to get in the passwords, go for it. Like, so like all of that is just about building the house. Knowledge, wisdom, understanding. What do you know? What do you stand under? What do you submit to? Like that understanding, like, okay, I understand this. I got this. I'm going to exercise this through wisdom. Like, I'm going to operate in wisdom. So when I apply, I'm doing it based off of what I know and what I understand. It's all so good. So I hope tonight has just been encouraging. Like as we're strategizing, planning this wedding and all the details, I'm sure you've probably heard it before. People say, well, the wedding is one moment, but there are just a lot of lessons. There are a lot of lessons that are to be learned. And when I go take my dance lessons, when we go take dance lessons, maybe we'll have some video of it. I don't know. But, we're building something. We're building. So we're going to be strategic about what we do. We want to have a great first dance. We're going to go take dance lessons, right? Whatever you want in your life, Think about it. Just strategize it, plan it, and then build it. It's fun to build it. It's fun to think about what you're building. So have that experience. All right, let's shut it down for the night. Thanks for joining me on this Wedding Wednesday. Um, Now I'm going to be accountable. I told you 25 pounds in 100 days. Yep, we're getting this in. We're going to get it. I'm going to get to it. So um, I'm going to do it in a sensible way. So I'm strategizing it. So I'll be sharing that journey if you want to know, kind of how I'm doing on my journey. But that's just part of the journey. So let's pray. Let's shut it down. Father, thank you for this day that you've made for us to rejoice and be glad in. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with each and every person that is here, those that have been here, those that are part of Team Replay. Thank you for the opportunity to share with them this message of life and encouragement. I pray that something that was said or some story that was told or illustration that was made could be something that they can hold on to and then apply to their lives so that they can build and make the love that you would desire them to have, the love that would bless their life and bless someone else and bless their environment. I just pray that where we've been in times past with hurt and disappointments and failures, that we can see that there's a new day, that we can strategize and think towards a brighter future and then work on it and enjoy the work. That all work is not to be despised, but we can enjoy the work of making and building love. And so I pray blessings upon the works of the hands of each one as they recommit themselves to better days, to life more abundantly, to embracing the plan that you have for their life and their relationships. I pray that as they align with your will, that you bless the works of their hands. You prosper it and multiply it. Let their gardening produce great fruit in abundance. We thank you in advance, counting it as done. Amen. All right. Have a fantastic night, everybody. I appreciate you being here. Meet somebody, spiritual, in the physical, or in your aspirational dream area. Go out and meet somebody, get connected, and have a fantastic rest of your night. Love you much. See ya.